All right, I think we're good. What's up, guys? We are back. We are doing some predictions now for the fall split. Thank you to, I think it's Atomcore RL on Twitter. I will put that in the Twitter description below, or the YouTube description, for this awesome Swiss seeding thing. So once we put in our results, I think it'll auto match up the next few rounds perfectly, which is fantastic. And if it's not perfect, oh well. I'm just going to roll with it because I'm not going to worry about it too much. But I assume it is perfect because our community is great and Atomcore is amazing. So let's get to our proper predictions for the fall major. Again, a lot of points on the line. Obviously, double points for all these events. If you win this major, you're basically like sitting pretty. You're just chilling, waiting to the World Championship. You have to do like some work, I guess, in winter and spring, but not a whole lot, and you'll be going. So pretty big deal. And also for those minor regions, like they don't send a lot of teams, so if you can gain a lot of points, you're going to have a huge lead on everyone else as well. So, going to be fun. International matches for the first time in 2 years. That was like, so I'm going to post a Twitter picture, which I haven't done yet, so I haven't planned this out just yet, but of like when Gibbster was just born, and he was born on November 28th, 2 years ago. So I'm going to post when the last land was, whatever picture I can find that's kind of close to it, and now to where he is now. And it's like, oh, wow. It's been a long time. Like, he's a big boy now. He's 2. It's crazy. But, yeah, like, I'm excited. If you missed it, I ranked the regions in a previous video, so if you want to go check that out, feel free. That'll kind of will tell you more about why I'm choosing and who I'm choosing where. And, yeah, let's get into it. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know who I'm going to pick as the winner. I have some thoughts, but if it doesn't work out that way in Swiss, then it doesn't work out that way in Swiss. So let's do it up. NRG versus Era, number 1 seed NA, number 2 seed in SAM. I think this would be a 3-0. Like, I think NRG is going to come to play. They didn't boot camp early in Sweden, but I don't think that really matters a lot for NRG. They'll still have plenty of time. They're there now. This is December 3rd when I'm recording this, but it probably won't come out till December 5th. They should be fine, and I think they will take the 3-0 there. Moving on, we got Endpoint versus Renegades. And this one's a little interesting. Like, I think I'm relatively low on OC in general, but it is Endpoint is the one team I'm worried about because it's like, all right, we know what you're doing. Bring in Seiko, have him do everything, and we win stuff, right? Now, so I'm not saying Mets Norris and Wave are not doing things, but they need him to perform well. So Seiko, if you get nerves, this could be an interesting Swiss for Endpoint, and I could see them bottoming out early. But against Renegades, I don't think that is an issue. I'll give a 3-0 here as well, because I think OC is on the relatively weaker scale of teams here. Next up, Dig versus Tokyo Verde. Again, like APAC, it's their first tournament. They haven't had a lot of professional experience to grow that region yet, so I think Dignitas comes out and 3-0s them as well. G2 versus Sandrock. Sandrock using a sub. G2 is one of those hot and cold teams. When they're hot, they can win this entire thing. So they're kind of different of like, there are some teams where like there's one player, like if he's hot, they do really well. Looking at you, Archie. But for G2, it's more about the core component of the team. If like the whole team is clicking, best in the world, right? If they're not clicking, and we've seen that a lot this past year and a half, then they don't win anything. So I'm a little concerned about G2 as well, but I'll give them a 3-1 here over Sandrock because I don't think that should be too much of an issue for G2. Their pressure is going to be insane. We talk about mechanical ability on Sandrock. That's not going to matter when they have no boost and they're on their own half the entire game. So I'll give them one game because we know G2 loves to just give open nets. So I think we'll see a 3-1 there. Next up, we got FaZe versus Vitality. Juicy matchup here. Vitality's grinding. Watch out. I know Vitality might not be the same Vitality we saw last year or whatever, but we were saying that last year before they went and destroyed BDS in a final. It was the same exact story. Like, yeah, Vitality's a number 2 seed, but really, like, they're not all that great. BDS is going to walk all over them. It's the same exact story. Now they have a month to grind yet again. Vitality, I think, is going to show up really, really well in the tournament, and I think they take down FaZe 3-1 there. Next up, BDS versus Complexity. Complexity barely squeaked in on the NA side, South American team, moving into NA. Again, 2-8 versus the top 4 in NA. playing against BDS, who is normally relatively consistent, and still, sure, they had their problems throughout fall split. They still finished top 4 in all 3 in Europe, which is very, very difficult to do. I think BDS walks away pretty easily here with a 3-0. Next up, Ground Zero Gaming versus Envy. Again, I'm pretty low on OCE. I think that this is probably a 3-0 as well. I think we're going to have a lot of one-sided matches. So I think Envy walks away winners there. But for Envy, I think it has a lot to do. Like, Mist, I know is going to perform well. I'm worried about Atomic of, like, first land and all that stuff. And Atomic is one of those guys that if he's hot, Envy can be the best team here. But I think they need him to be somewhat hot for that to happen. Like, if he's cold, I don't think Mist can carry this team enough. And Turbo with a Sweden land, like, Turbo will do his job, but I think he needs Mist and Atomic to put in the work for Turbo to really shine. So I'm worried a little bit about Envy, depending on what Atomic does. Now, Archie, same thing. Semper. If Archie does not perform in, like, one of his first lands, I think it's his first time, there could be some issues here as well. Furia coming in. A lot of people talking high on them and scrim results and stuff, but it's only scrims. I'm still going to go with Semper, but I'll give him a 3-2 versus Furia. And look at that. It auto-populates so quickly. So that's what we got there. I'll probably zoom in a little bit for you guys. Actually, we'll just leave it like here because we have to do round 3 low matches anyway. So if you can't read it, get glasses. Moving on. Energy versus Semper. I think Energy wins this one. I think it'll be like a 3-1, maybe a 3-2. Again, it depends how Archie goes. And so that should be a fun matchup. But another international matchup, EU versus NA. Right now I have EU 2-0 up on NA. But now Energy is playing. And, you know, like Energy's a pretty good team. I would say, again, they are favorites probably to win this LAN. Slight favorites. Like, I don't think any team is like a huge favorite coming in. But I think if you were a betting man, I think Energy would probably be the odds-on favorite to win this. Just barely, probably. Moving on, but that's also because EU just beats up on themselves. But Vitality versus Endpoint is going to be one of those cases. I think Vitality's back to play, and I think I worry about Endpoint. Like I said, this could be one of those series where I could be really, really concerned. I'm going to go 3-0 for Vitality. I think Vitality will be getting hot in this tournament and make some noise. Next up, Dignitas G2. I think Dignitas has G2 beat exceptionally well here. Because, one, you have Jack and Jorius, who are both new to LAN, but it's a two-headed monster, right? So if one is a little bit cold, if the other's hot, I think they'll be fine. And Scrub, I expect to play well on defense and all of that. I think he can stop a lot of what G2 brings, but we'll see, because if G2 clicks, they will be a hard team to beat. But with the 1v1 skills of Jack and Jorius, I think they can get through that midfield a lot easier, and then G2 has to play defense, and sometimes there's issues there. So I think I'm going to go Dig here. Let's go close series. Why not? Let's go with 3-2, because we haven't had any 3-2. Oh, we had only one other 3-2. Actually, no. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to keep the 3-2s. I'm going to save them. I'm going to save them for later. BDS Envy. I'm high on Europe, guys. I'm high on Europe. That's all I'm going to say right now. I think BDS will figure it out. I think they 3-2 Envy here in a very, very close match and move on there. Furia versus Era. Kind of unfortunate that they play each other here, but I got Furia there. FaZe versus Renegades. I don't really like the Renegades' chances here either. I'll give them a game, though, just to see if they start waking up. Sandrock versus Tokyo Verde. I'll go Sandrock 3-1 over Tokyo. Like, I think that they can take a game. I hope they show up and can compete to a small extent. But, you know, obviously it's a huge uphill battle for Tokyo there. Ground Zero Gaming versus Complexity. Sam versus OCE, sort of. Again, I'm pretty low on OCE. I'll go a 3-1. I'm breaking stuff. There we go. 3-1 for Complexity over Ground Zero. Moving on. Ooh, look at this, baby. We get a juicy matchup here. Energy versus BDS. Everyone wants to see this matchup. We're going to go 3-1 for NRG there. It kind of depends what we get out of BDS. They've already played 2 NA teams, according to our bracket, so who knows. Maybe they're looking solid, but I still think Energy will come out on top. Like, BDS is known to be pretty good in Swiss. Sometimes they drop like one series, and that's about it. Maybe they drop here versus Energy. Dig versus Vitality. Ooh, another juicy one. Scrub versus his former team. This is a what was it, Regional 2 Grand Finals as well. So some juicy matchups here. I think Dig is just good enough, and I think they will show up enough to take down Vitality. We'll go 3-2, though. Should be a close set. Again, Vitality shirt. They didn't look great in fall, but I know when they have a month to prep, they normally do pretty well. And it's LAN and all that. Like, most people, I don't care that much about LAN experience and all that, but Vitality is just something different, right? With KDOP and Fairy Peak, it's just something different there. So I'm still going to bank on that a little bit. Envy versus Complexity. Again, Complexity, I believe, was 0-2 versus Envy in the season. I don't think that changes here. I'm going to go 3-0 because I do think Envy's still relatively strong here. Endpoint versus Sandrock Gaming. I can't give it to Sandrock. I'm looking for an upset pick here somewhere, like in terms of what I think is going to win, but I just don't see him just yet. But obviously, anything's going to happen, and my hope rocket's going to be thrown out the window after game one. But I'm going to go 3-1 here for Endpoint there. G2 versus Furia. Is this the upset? Is this the time? Yeah, let's do it. Let's get an upset here. Furia moving on over G2. 3-2. Let's make it really close. I think that's possible. Semper versus FaZe. I think this is going to be a fun one. You got AJ versus Archie, the A's, the Battle of the A's, and obviously first killer involved as well. I think FaZe wakes up for a series, and I think that in terms of me, this would probably be a small upset as well. But I think FaZe wakes up and takes the win there. Ground Zero Gaming versus Era, the number 2 seeds of OC and Sam, who will go home 0-3. I haven't seen a lot of Era that much. I think, so it's tough. So this is also why game differential is really important. Because, say Tokyo is a lopsided, worst team here. If they go 6, you want to have a pretty good game differential to compete against them in this round. Now, that might not be the case, but, hey. I think Ground Zero versus Era. I'm going to go Era because I think I like Sam. I'm going to go 3-1 here. So Ground Zero will continue the OCE streak of the number 2 seeds from OCE never winning at an RLCS land. I guess we got to call it now. But Renegades versus Tokyo Verde. I think they get the win here. We'll go 3-1. For the Renegades, so they will move on. Moving on, so we already know Energy and Digger are top 2 seeds. So moving on, we got Vitality versus Furia. I think that's a very good matchup for Vitality. I think Vitality walks away pretty easily here. We'll go 3-1. BDS versus FaZe. Did they already play? No, BDS played Complexity. FaZe played Vitality. Okay. I think BDS is just a better team. So I'll go 3-2. I think AJ and First Killer can make that one interesting, but go 3-2. Envy versus Endpoint. Does Seiko show up? Does Atomic play well? Does Turbo play well? This one's tough. I feel like I want to give some credit to Endpoint with their 2 regional wins, so I'm going to go a 3-2 here for Endpoint. Again, if you look back at my rankings of regions, I do think that Europe is better than NA, as you can see in these results. That's how it's kind of looking. So keep that in mind. G2 versus Era. I think that's a 3-0. I think G2's all right, it's time to play. And I'm writing this in the wrong spot. Sandrock versus Renegades. This one's tight. I'm going to go 3-2 Sandrock there versus Renegades. But I do think that they are better than OCE as of now. But I could be completely wrong. And that's why it's fun to just do these predictions. So we'll see. Semper versus Complexity. Again, Complexity barely made it in NA, and I think they're weaker than Europe. I can't give it to them. So we're going to go 3-1 here for Semper over Complexity. Woo! This leaves some juicy matchups. We got Envy versus Semper, FaZe versus G2, Furia versus Sandrock. Look how this worked out. Okay, so this is where things could get interesting, where a minor region could make top 8, where I didn't think they would have a shot because of how these brackets have played out, and I think because of this upset I had with Furia over G2. It's really the only big upset I had, but one upset can change everything. Completely change everything, how it works in Swiss. So in terms of my predictions, we will get one minor region to a top 8, which I was not expecting to have before I did this. So let's do that one first. I think Furia walks away the winners there. I'll go 3-1. I think they have a pretty solid shot versus Sandrock. G2 and FaZe, an old classic. I don't have their head-to-heads up right now. I think G2 is the better team, slightly, but I think they're the better team. It depends how they are doing on land with Drees as well. Nerves might play a factor, but like first goes first land as well, right? So we'll go 3-2 because that'll be fun. And then we got Envy versus Semper. I worry about Envy just slightly. Like, I think they have a very high floor, but I do worry if Atomic is not playing that well. Can Mist get Turbo involved enough? Can Turbo do it himself and get involved enough? I don't think so. I'm going to go 3-1 Semper here as a little bit of an upset to have Envy knocked out. Now, I think I just put all 5 Europe in, so maybe I went a little too hard on Envy on EU, but hey, you know what? These are my predictions. We're going with it. Let's see what the results are. Here we go. These are the results. Energy, number 1 seed. Dignitas, 2. Vitality, 3. BDS, 4. Actually, Endpoint should be 4, right? It doesn't matter because they'll play each other anyway. Yeah, so Endpoint would be 4. BDS would be 5. G2, 6. Furious, 7. Semper, 8. So that's what we got here. And then we see the teams losing out here for the rest of the boys. Again, I'm very high on Europe. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but I'm very high on them. So we got Energy versus Semper to open this up. Of course, my bracket will get a little bit cut off here, but it's the best I can do right now. Energy is a pretty good team. I think, again, pretty much favorites to win this. I think they walk away with a win there. Ooh, Endpoint BDS. Endpoint's had their number. I think I'm higher on BDS, though, at a LAN. Even though they don't have any LAN experience, I think I'm still higher on BDS. Let's go 4-3. Let's make them work. So I got and because everyone wants to see BDS versus Energy in a bracket stage. So going with that. Then we got Dignitas versus Furia. Didn't they match up already? Or no? No, they didn't. I think Dignitas wins this pretty easily. I'll go 4-1 there. Vitality versus G2. It's tough. It's tough. Because if Vitality made it this far at a 3-1, they're probably looking pretty good. Compared to G2 if they would have got an upset loss. But it's a brand new day. And honestly, most of these days are brand new days. And most teams, I don't care that much about their lands. I really don't. Or land experience, except for Vitality. There's something about Vitality that just knows how to perform when it matters most. We'll go 4-3. I got 3 out of 4 EU here. And sorry, guys, but it's happening. We got BDS in the finals, baby. 4-2 over Energy, pulling off the upset there. BDS, the story needs to be written that they're back. BDS into the finals. So that's who I did have predicted. So my predictions, like in my head, for BDS versus NRG in the finals, BDS winning it. That was my small-time predictions there. But as you can see, it didn't work out that way. Dig versus Vitality. They've already played once in this tournament. Dig got the win 3-2. Let's make it another close one. Why not? 4-3. We want spicy games. And we got an all-EU final. BDS versus Dignitas. Now, here's the thing. BDS, best of set, never won one when it comes to a finals. Anytime they lose one series, they have never bounced back. They've never won a series after it. Dignitas, 4-1 to open it up. BDS, 4-0 to follow. 4-2 to win it. BDS are your champions. They will come back to EU with, I believe, the number 1 seed at that point. I'm not sure exactly where the points lie. But if Endpoint doesn't make it out of the first round, right? Yeah, so I think BDS would have number 1 seed. Dignitas would be 2. Endpoint would be 3. Vitality would be 4. Maybe Semper. Who knows? Either way, this is what I got. An all-EU final. We're going back to the classics, man. I think EU is a better region right now. I could be completely wrong, but this is what I'm going with. I think Lanergy has a very good shot at winning this. I am concerned about other NA teams. It just depends if they're hot or cold, right? And if they are hot, they definitely have a shot too. G2, I had like iffy. Envy. Like most of them, went with the more iffy side. It's probably very unlikely that EU gets all 5 in top 8 because someone's probably going to mess up. But it's hard to predict mess ups when you are predicting that region to be better than the other region, right? So it's like, I don't know, it's hard. But these are my predictions. Screen cap it. 2 thumbs up for this. You can't see the BDS final, but that's fine. Yeah, so at the end of this, our top 8 in terms of who gets those extra World Championship spots at this time, there's obviously still 2 majors, would be EU would then get 5 extra teams, I believe, right? All EU's in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So they would have 8 teams total at this point going to the World Championship. Then we got NA would have 2. So NA would have 5 teams total going to the World Championship at this point. And Sam would get 1 extra team in, and they would be sitting at 3 teams going to the World Championship. And then everyone else would have 2 across the board, basically. APAC gets 2, OC would have 2, MENA would have 2, and then South Africa would have 2 as well. And they don't have a chance to get any more, obviously, because they're not here. But here it is, the predictions. You guys really don't have to watch now, but if you want to, twitch.tv/Rocket League. I think the other channel is twitch.tv/RL Esports. Every single game will be casted, will be streamed by themselves on a stream. There'll be 2 games going on at once, but, an A and a B stream. So come check it out. I'll be helping out in the background of the alternate stream, the B stream, to make sure things are going okay there. But it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. No matter who wins, you got to coin them best in the world at the time. But, hey, the best part is we only have to wait, 2.5 months after to have another major? So it's fantastic. We'll get to see some more international play going on. We'll go back to regionals for a bit, cool down. We'll have a lot of talks about, because of that one result where a team barely won in an overtime in a Game 5 or Game 7, they're clearly better than the other team. Clearly. So we're going to have a lot of fun conversations about that. But here it is. Thank you guys for watching. And, yeah, see you at the Sweden Major. I won't be in Sweden, but I'll see you in spirit at the Sweden Major through our monitors. All right? Later.